Love is Blind may be a chance for some to find their partners for life, but for others, it seems love is blurry.
Love is blurry.
My friend, this show is Love is Blind.
Kyle's wrongful proposal. Getting on one knee and asking someone to spend their life with you is no joke, and often takes a lot of deliberate thinking and planning ahead, but not for the Love is Blind cast. Just within 10 days, the couples are to get engaged without seeing each other face to face. So it goes without question that some rocky decisions were made. That is certainly true for Kyle, who expressed he wished he hadn't gotten engaged to Shaina.
It's just, I mean, it was just a big waste of time.
They had different religious stances, as Shaina was a Christian and she later found out he was an atheist. Their relationship ended pretty quickly and are currently not in communication. While fans understood why Kyle thought the proposal was a mistake, they were shocked when he confessed that his biggest regret was actually not asking Deepti to marry him instead.
I should have asked Deepti to marry me. I should have tried harder for you. I mean, I love her so much. She's the best.
Deepti was noticeably happy about this confession, and he must be right about her because even his ex agreed. Shaina chimed in by backing up that
Deepti's amazing.
Not that they need his approval, but even Deepti's ex-fiancé Shayne said he would love that for Kyle and Deepti. Speaking of Shayne, Kyle was angry that he had treated Deepti so poorly, which just speaks volumes for Kyle's love and respect for her.
Yeah, and it pisses me off because you wasted such a good opportunity.
So could there potentially be a redemption love story for Kyle and Deepti instead? Maybe. They have been getting pretty flirty on the gram recently. When Kyle posted a pic of himself, Deepti commented, "Meet you at midnight in Paris," with some fire and sweat emojis. Not to mention this sneaky TikTok video he posted. Perhaps Kyle's biggest regret may just turn into the romance he came in looking for after all. We just have to wait and see. Shayna's perspective. Of course, it takes two to tango and fall apart in a relationship. Shaina takes partial fault in admitting that her biggest regret was saying yes to Kyle's proposal, as she had an inkling beforehand that they weren't exactly going to be compatible.
I needed to see him interact with my family. I'm very close with my family, and I knew that they know what's best for me at the end of the day, and so it kind of sealed the deal for me. I didn't want to make any mistakes.
She also thought she would give a non-Christian a chance, as she had dated Christians before, and it didn't work out, and that being religious doesn't make you a good person. But at the end of the day, it was a deal breaker. Shaina doesn't feel too much sorrow about the situation though, as she rather takes on the perspective of
everything happens for a reason.
Natalie's tearful regret. While some get their happily ever after on the show, this consulting manager experienced a lot of drama and heartache instead. An explosive fight happened the night before Natalie and Shayne's wedding, which according to Natalie caused Shayne to say hurtful things like,
"So you're saying you truly felt like you hated me and I was the worst thing for you at that moment?"
Shayne defended himself in the reunion, saying he got to that point because of things Natalie did, and claimed she hasn't owned up to her mistakes.
Like you're still not, you haven't apologized like kind of like your side of the story. You haven't owned up to like kind of like, so it was 100% my fault.
This caused Natalie to start tearing up. She admitted that she regrets making her ex-fiancé feel like he wasn't good enough.
Because I feel like you were more than enough.
She explained to ET about that fight, saying it wasn't just one thing, it was an accumulation of a lot of different things. I think the pressure of our wedding also played a part in that, of feeling like we have to make a decision really quickly. She also thinks in general they had very different lifestyles, and the amount of compromises they both had to make was overwhelming for him, which was what caused his explosion that night. Sounds like it was an icky situation for both parties. Shayne's wrong name incident. Shayne's biggest regret from the show was his reaction to calling Natalie a different girl's name in the pod. He seemed excited to talk to Shaina instead when entering the room, which obviously no girl wants to hear from someone they're falling for. The 32-year-old shamefully admitted that,
I played victim card right away and I tried to defend myself, but I definitely 100% regret. I really wish I would have just let her speak.
Shayne making it official. The real estate broker made more than a couple of mistakes, to say the least. His other regret was asking Natalie to be his girlfriend when he was still unsure about his feelings.
Still, like saying the girlfriend comment was completely unnecessary.
He was still exploring Shaina as an option in the pod. When Shaina found out about Natalie being his girlfriend, Shayne's response was,
"I'm asking a question."
I know, but I'm like, who cares?
And try to convince Shaina to fight for what they had. Shayne explains that he simply got caught up in the moment and felt like he needed to. Of course, when Natalie found out, she was hurt. At the reunion, Natalie expressed that
there could have been a change if he explored another connection was really hard.
Even after the season, Natalie and Shayne tried to give their relationship another shot, but Natalie couldn't get past their fight. They now remain friends. Shayne's relationship with Shaina. Although it may seem like this villain duo were meant to be, even having basically matching names, it was never as serious as it seemed on camera. After Shaina accepted Kyle's proposal, she went to talk to Shayne immediately to tell him how she really felt about him. Shayne says he had regrets about leading Shaina to believe if she told him her feelings sooner, he would have chosen her instead.
Like, I'm being crucified for the situation. I could have handled it definitely different.
People portrayed Shaina to be a homewrecker, as she had a bit too much to say about Shayne and Natalie's relationship, calling it fake and offering Natalie a boyfriend if things didn't work out. Shaina defends herself, saying a lot of the footage was edited, and claims that their relationship had fizzled out in the pods. Shayne confirmed on social media that the two are just simply cordial and there will never be anything romantic. Jarrett. Even though he is a happily married man now, the healthcare consultant wishes he didn't have that deep conversation with Mallory in Mexico. Jarrett explained that his emotions were simply running high, as it was his first time seeing Mallory, and out of respect for his fiancé, he should have done things differently.
Even though I did this, there would never, ever be a chance where you feel like you're ever runner-up or second place to nobody.
Watching it back, the 32-year-old felt really cringe and super embarrassed of his behavior. His wife Iyanna was understanding though, as she had been warned of this conversation beforehand, but still, experiencing it all over again was understandably not easy.
So that part was actually hurtful.
Iyanna constantly reminds herself that that's not who he is, as he's proven for 9 months now that she is his priority. Mallory. The same goes for the communication manager, who didn't think the conversation with Jarrett was appropriate. She admitted to being drunk at that time.
Unfortunately, I took a couple shots before that because I was nervous.
Iyanna. One thing this program coordinator wishes she had done differently was how she handled her concerns in her relationship with Jarrett, such as his feelings for Mallory and his ex. At the time, Iyanna didn't know if she could trust him, but after Mexico, Jarrett proved himself to be a trustworthy man. Even if watching yourself is nerve-wracking, it sometimes gets you to observe your flaws. She saw that her downfall was in her communication style and wants to actively work on it.
I just wish that I had handled some of my concerns a little bit better.
At the reunion, Iyanna even wanted to make sure there was no anger points towards Mallory. We love a self-aware queen. Shake. One thing Shake knows how to do is to shake off embarrassing moments. He claims he doesn't really have regrets, which we know if we were him, we would have a plenty. From comparing Deepti to his aunt, to his remarks about how unattracted to her he is, to making comments about women's weight, his whole persona turned just about everyone off. He even admits to being tragically flawed and says dumb things all the time.
I don't even want to start with the dumb stuff I've said. The reason I wake up, I have a good heart.
In an Instagram video, he went on to say,
"The thing I don't feel inclined to do is pretend I'm sad. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry."
We are glad Deepti said thank you next to this one. Deepti. Meanwhile, the data analyst finds peace in the whole situation, even though she didn't exactly get the happy ending she had wanted.
I wish I was a little bit more vulnerable and more emotional.
But wouldn't trade the experience because she met some of her closest friends on this journey. Nick. Being assertive may have its pros, perhaps in the workplace, but when it comes to building relationships, Nick realizes it may not be the best approach. After watching himself back, he wishes he wasn't so direct with people and asking questions all the time.
You know, looking back and watching it again, I could see that I actually had impact on people from doing that.
He learned to look at his own curiosity and watch the way he says things so it doesn't end up hurting people. Danielle. Sometimes your insecurities get the best of you, and for Danielle, she feels that it got the best of her on the show. She wishes she didn't project her negative self-talk onto other people.
Made me realize that I projected that onto other people. Sometimes view myself negatively. I don't trust that I deserve a good person.
Well, it looks like she was able to work past it because she is in a successful marriage now. Shaina. Meanwhile, when watching herself back, Shaina realizes she isn't always forthright about her feelings.
I was definitely guarded. I've learned to be open.
Like questioning what Natalie and Shayne even had in common, although she had apologized to Natalie afterwards. If she could do it all over again, Shaina wishes she was more prepared for reality TV. But then again, it's hard to really do that. She claims that many things were edited out on screen and wishes fans would recognize that. Sal. Sal wishes that he had been more open and emotional in the series. Perhaps opening up would have helped the two establish a closer connection. Although Mal and Sal didn't get to say I do, they did try to date once the cameras were rolling, but ultimately got the closure they needed and parted ways. While this may have been a dramatic season, it looks like everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Do you think Kyle and Deepti should get together? How about Shayne and Shaina? There has also been talks of Sal and Natalie. Let us know in the comments below. Like this video if you want to stay up to date on the latest reality TV news. And we'll see you next time on The Things Reality.